Welcome. This is a series of videos to inform the public regarding the truth of history entitled Lies About the Formation of the United States of America. This is lesson number 10. A Lawful Government is Usurped. September 28, 1787 through March 4, 1789. Written by the Union States Assembly historian and the videos presented by Union States Assembly. This information can also be found on the Union States Assembly website at www.unionstatesassembly.org. We will be doing a brief introduction to some of the basic facts you have not been taught about the formation of the United States of America by the public and private fool systems, which is where Americans get brainwashed and are told lies. In this lesson, we will be looking at several documents, which are the journals of the Continental Congress. These documents can be found on our website as well as at the Library of Congress. It is important to produce these documents in order to prove the truth of what Union States Assembly is presenting. Without such, this could be just another one of those internet speculation videos which many people believe is being true but provide no proof of such claims. Let's get started. On February 29, 1788, the delegates of Virginia formally motioned to Congress, resolved that the United States in Congress assembled do approve of the compact solemnly entered into between the state of Virginia and the District of Kentucky for the erection of the said district into a separate and independent member of the Federal Union. See the Journals of the Continental Congress, Volume 34, pages 72 through 73. On June 2, 1788, Congress agrees that in their opinion it is expedient that the District of Kentucky be erected into an independent state, and therefore they submit the following resolution: that the address and resolutions from the District of Kentucky with the act of the Legislature of Virginia therein specified be referred to a committee consisting of a member from each state, to prepare and report an act for acceding to the independence of the said District of Kentucky, and for receiving the same into the Union as a member thereof, in a mode conformable to the Articles of Confederation. See the Journals of the Continental Congress, Volume 34, page 194. The specific entry date for Kentucky to join the Confederation, known as the United States of America, is set for January 1, 1789. On July 2, the delegates from New Hampshire informed the Congress that the Legislature of New Hampshire ratifies the Constitution for the United States and becomes the 9th state to have done so. A motion in Congress is approved, ordered that the ratifications of the Constitution of the United States transmitted to Congress be referred to a committee to examine the same and report an act to Congress for putting the said Constitution into operation in pursuance of the resolutions of the late Federal Convention. See the Journals of the Continental Congress, Volume 34, pages 281 through 282. At this point, 9 state legislatures have committed treason against the Confederation known as the United States of America by usurping the lawfully created government, and Congress is complicit in that treason by putting time and effort to allowing the delegates to determine a course for putting into effect the new Constitution. On July 3, 1788, a motion is made in Congress to erect the District of Kentucky into an independent state and join the Confederation of 13 states officially on January 1, 1789. However, an amended and approved resolution was made as follows. See the Journals of the Continental Congress, Volume 34, pages 287 through 294. Whereas, application has been lately made to Congress by the Legislature of Virginia and the District of Kentucky for the admission of the said district into the Federal Union as a separate member thereof, on the terms contained in the acts of the said legislature and in the resolution of the said district relative to the premises. And whereas Congress, having fully considered the subject, did on the 3rd day of June last resolve that it is expedient that the said district be erected into a sovereign and independent state and a separate member of the Federal Union, and appointed a committee to report and act accordingly, which committee on the 2nd instance was discharged, and appearing that the 9 states had adopted the Constitution of the United States, lately submitted the Convention of the Peoples, And whereas a new confederacy is formed among the ratifying states, and there is reason to believe the state of Virginia, including the said district, did on the 25th of June last become a member of the said confederacy. And whereas an act of Congress in the present state of government of the country, severing a part of the said state from the other parts thereof, and admitting it into a confederacy formed by the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, as an independent member thereof, may be intended with many consequences, while it can have no effect to make the said district a separate member of the federal union formed by the adoption of the said Constitution. And therefore it must be manifestly improper for Congress assembled under the said Articles of Confederation to adopt any other measures relative to the premises than those which express their sense that the said district ought to be an independent member of the Union as soon as circumstances shall permit proper measures to be adopted for that purpose. This is the most telling of all passages in the Continental Journals regarding the sedition and treason that has resulted because of the lawful process not being followed in presenting and passing the Constitution for the United States. A new confederacy has been set up between 9 states. Yet those 9 states did not leave the existing confederacy of 13 states. Thus, all government employees, civil or military, Congress, and in the state legislatures commit treason with everything they do. Which form of government do they follow? The two forms are repugnant to one another, and when one does something following one form, they commit treason against the other form, and vice versa. Congress clearly knows this, but does not come out and express it in terms that all can follow. Makes one wonder why, doesn't it? Remember those Freemason teachings? One has to wonder if this was done on purpose, as it clearly does not seem coincidental, knowing how precise and particular Congress has always been. Congress think it not advisable for Kentucky to pursue entry since there are now 2 confederacies, and Kentucky has no invite into the second formed confederacy. If Kentucky were to join the first confederacy based on the invite, they might end up being the only one left in the first confederacy. On July 8, 1788, a committee in the old Congress, still under the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, is established to prepare for an orderly transfer of power, including procedures for electing representatives to the first Congress under the new Constitution, and procedures for choosing the electors of the first president. See the Journals of the Continental Congress, Volume 34, pages 303 through 304. On October 10, 1788, it is the last day there was a quorum to do business in the original and lawful confederation of 13 states or nations known as the United States of America. On November 1, 1788, the old Congress, operating under Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, adjourns. Currently, neither confederation has an operating central government. Although Congress may have adjourned, the original and lawful confederation known as the United States of America is not dissolved, done away with, abolished, superseded, or whatever terms you want to use with the introduction of the new government under the Constitution for the United States. The trust that was created under the original Confederation still exists today, and thus ends the American experiment, which lasted from 1776 until 1788. This was the only time in written, recorded history where people were freely given a chance to govern themselves and not be governed by others. It has not happened since. On March 4, 1789, the first Constitution Congress meets and declares the Constitution in effect. 9 senators, 13 representatives, vacating the lawful government after usurping it and committing treason against everyone in the 13 nations or states. So where does this get us? Treason, everywhere that exists. That's where it gets us. It exists at both confederation levels, it exists at Congress, and now it exists at all the state houses and legislatures that have ratified the new Constitution. These are repugnant law forms, people. They cannot coexist. Therefore, no matter which federal government office one occupies, they commit treason with everything they do, because which law form are they going to follow? You have the lawful one through the Articles of Confederation Perpetual Union, and you have the new unlawful one through the new Constitution for the United States. Read the entry of July 3, 1788, carefully, everyone. There are two concurrent confederacies. The lies you have been taught about how the new Constitution has repealed, abolished, superseded, did away with, amended, etc., etc. The Articles of Confederation Perpetual Union is nothing but a lie. There are now two confederacies running side by side, and each has their own law form and government. The original is lawful and controlled by the states who created it. The new one is not lawful, legal though some might claim it to be, and will be controlled by those people who created it. Not states, but people. People who have found the way to do away with the sovereignty of the states or nations and the people thereof. Of note, to point out once again for those who forgot, there is no singular nation, just confederacies, which are a collection of nations. Congress calls it a federal union in the July 3 resolution. There is nothing there about a nation. Even under the new Constitution, no singular nation was ever created. Don't believe me? Go read it and point to where it calls itself a nation and not a union. The lawful states or nations basically put aside their lawfulness and went with the unlawfulness courtesy of the founding attorneys. They went with the legal system and not a law-abiding system by going with that new Constitution. The old law form and government is still there, having never been abolished. It is just unoccupied and waiting to be occupied again, and is still worldwide recognized.